Maz at Triple C Creations. Hey, this is Maz. Yeah, we had fun last week with sleds and everything. So yeah, I slacked off. I didn't get onto the little S10 street rod. So now we're gonna get on her. I'm gonna get the head cleaned up, the block cleaned up, and we're gonna start trying to reassemble it. I have one gasket set coming for the turbos, but I can still put the head together. The gasket set should be in sometime this week, so later on this week we should have her fired up. Might even do a test run tonight. We'll see what happens. So yeah, let's get back at her. Really getting anxious now, getting little hints of spring coming. So I like ripping around the sleds and winter stuff, but you can only have so much Canadian winter. So let's get back to springtime, summertime fun here. Let's get this little S10 going. I'm really curious to see if we can get this thing to run good, and then we can get back on the rest of it. Now we're gonna see if we can get this all prepped up and clean and get ready to put the head together. Just see the frost coming out of here. So I don't heat this shop 24/7. So it's been some cold nights here. Trying to keep stuff out of there. Okay, now we got the gasket on there. We got a nice clean surface and everything. We'll double check a few things around here, and then I guess we're gonna lift the head up, plop her on. Hopefully we don't wreck anything. A little bit on the heavy side, but it's a nice open setup on this truck design that somebody came up with. I wonder who. Anyways, put the head on, and I'm getting closer. I'm getting anxious. I want to hear this thing run again. I want to get it running right so we can make it drivable, because I really want to run this thing this summer and try to get the paint job and the bodywork finished up. So let's get at her. So, I'm going to show you something right here. When you're finishing up the last, cleaning this up, it's not a bad idea to go in the same direction all the way across. Gotta keep it flat, don't take hedges out like that. And just keep going in the same direction. The idea is that if you keep going all the way across the same direction, it kind of helps on the ceiling and gives you a better idea if you're flattening out even, because you're freehanding this. Not like you could send it out and get it plain and it'd be machined nice and straight, and everything will be machined the same direction. So smoother surface, better ceiling. That's the proper way. This head's in pretty good shape here, so this is just a project, so I just want to get it running, and later down the road, if we want to upgrade this motor and get a bigger cam, we'll tear this engine right down and we'll redo everything, beef it all up. But also too, if somebody comes in and they say, hey, did you get that head machined and everything? And then you turn around and say, oh yeah, check it out here. You can just see the machining lines all the way across. Because if you went this way and this way and this way and this way and this way, then they'll know that it wasn't machined. Now, if you want to be to certain people that just think, hey, you should have done it this way, and you just don't want to, sake of argument with them, you just want to get along and just have a little fun and a little chuckle to yourself. It looks like it was machined if you're a steady enough hand, and at the same time, it does potentially make a better seal, looks better, everything else. So we're just going to finish up on the engine block on the truck, do the same thing with the last finishing disc, and we'll recheck the straight edge, and then everything's still good. We'll start putting the head back on. Okay, we're going to clean up all the surface up here. I'll show you here. All this here needs to be cleaned up. And if you look at it close now, okay, my intake and exhaust manifold is completely homemade. Like I said in previous videos, this was a stock cast iron intake. It's for hot rodding and stuff like that. Exhaust and the intake are connected, so this warms up. So it's not always great to make power, but it made it a good, summer winter driving vehicle. It warmed up the carburetor and everything. So it was a good running engine. They were prone for leaking around the exhaust, stuff like that with this setup. The outside bolt hole is not a bolt hole, it's an actual dowel. It lines it up, and then they got little plates, a little bolt and a flat plate to sit against it. I got them around here somewhere. Where are we here? Is this them? That's not them. I'm not sure where they are at the moment. Oh, I think I see them. Okay, hold on here. That's probably this bag here. Yeah. Okay. So we'll open this one up and give you a better idea of what's going on. Okay. So we had these bolts, and these would sit in there like that, and they just pushed on both manifolds. Well, since my homemade intake is not going to work as good that way, I will show you the intake. Give me a second here. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is my homemade exhaust and intake for these crazy 2 carburetor setup, and then the up pipe, or in I guess turbo world, the down pipe, or that'd be the up pipe into the turbo, and then you got your down pipe to your exhaust. So everything's all fed in the middle here, feeding to the turbo, and then out to the exhaust and everything, O2 and all that stuff. So we got, the way they set it up here, you got exhaust, so it goes up with exhaust, intake, so it feeds 2 runners, exhaust feeds 2 runners, intake feeds 2 runners again, exhaust, 2 runners again, and then we got intake, 2 runners, exhaust, outside ones always run single. So I'll try to speak up a little bit here over the heater. So what's going on here? So far, this is the first time. This is completely 100% homemade. As you can see here, there's a small gap here. This is exhaust and the intake are completely separate. So the intake's got to run way cooler. Okay, so the problem I had here is we put it all together, and where's the gasket? Oh, let's try to show you what the gasket. The gasket, everything else was sealing not too bad. All the intake, everything, front exhaust, but the center exhaust was leaking a tiny bit. You can see the black soot, but the very back one was leaking pretty bad. So that sat in there. So this is the issue I got. I'm not using those little wedges. I'm actually physically, move it around here, putting bolts straight in, just like a header manifold would, all the way through. Bolts. but the outside one is alignment dowel. The same alignment dowel as the alignment dowel hole there. And these were prone for leaking on the edges too. The same thing, it twists, it doesn't push it down even. So this is set up as pretty rigid, so it doesn't flex too much. Let's see if we can get some weight in there. Oh, okay, that's with the gasket out. If I get her level, the center is pretty tight, but the outside ear is lifting up. So it's pretty hard to flex this down. All this all flexes pretty good, and it seals pretty good all the way down. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll just have to give it a good clean up, tweak a few little things. Even the front one was not bad. So what I think I'm going to do while I got this all apart, I'm going to see if I can take these dowels out. And then, hold on a sec. Wait a second, this thing's got a little weight to it. What I want to do is, like you can see here where the exhaust is leaking pretty good. All these other ones, this one's leaking a tiny bit. I can fix that all up. I'm not too worried about. The intakes look like they were holding pretty good. I can see the little where the gasket was compressing and everything. Front exhaust was pretty good. Maybe a little hint on the bottom. I can live with that for now. But this is too much, and it's at the back of the engine. So instead of fighting and trying to make it straight, it's always going to want to lift. Like, it's going to sit flat, and when you tighten the bolt down, it's going to want to lift up on the ear. All these other ones got two bolts, a bolt on each side, so they flatten down. So what I want to do is, I'm going to take these dowels out. Take this one out for sure. Might as well take this one out. It's kind of handy putting it together, get the bolts lined up, but as long as I can get 1-2 bolts lined up, it's fine. I'm going to take these out, and then I'm going to try to thread holes into this one, which I don't see why I shouldn't. And then we'll try to use these bolts to try to snug this down and seal this better. So we'll take these out, clean this all up, sheen this down, or thread this out, tap and die it. Get some head, we got the little header bolts, put them in there. And then we'll put the head back on, bolt the intake on, and then yeah, we'll get her all ready to go. So let's see where we get with this thing, and I'll get back to you on this one. Hey Maz, it's Maz here. I know a lot of, well, I shouldn't say it a lot. I know a fair bit about these older trucks, especially the trucks and stuff like that. This engine actually came out of a 71 GMC Chevy half-ton on this 250 inline 6 that I put in the S10 and this S10 street rod. I was just saying, get out of this light. I was just saying that I wanted to take these dowels out for the header and then tap it out and make threads. Well, I learned something new. I never knew this, to be honest. And I started breaking dowel loose. And usually you take a pair of vice grips, or you can get like a stud remover, whatever, and get them twisting, and then you can pull them out. They're like the same dowels in the back of an engine block to line up the transmission and stuff like that. And then you just tap them back in. They're usually tapered a little bit. So I thought I'll thread it. Well, check this out. I'm sure someone out there knows about this. Probably the machine shops definitely know about this. But the average car guy, I don't know if these Chevy guys know this, but for the ones that don't, check this out. I just learned this. So I broke this thing loose. I was like, oh, cool, awesome. Then I went to lift it, and it wouldn't. But then I noticed something. As I was trying to wedge it out a little bit, you know, you work it back and forth, and then you lift it up and twist it up, and it'll usually come out. Well, it would turn, but if I turned it the back way, it got tight. So check this out. The alignment dowel, famous GM, put threaded dowels. Look at that. And how deep is it? It's the first time I've looked into it. Look at that. So now I don't even have to drill it or tap it or anything. I just got to put a bolt in it. And look at this. Check this out. See? It is the same size thread as my header bolts. So, two things. Thank you for GM for doing that. You just made my life so much easier. And at the same time, GM, why? Why did you put dowels in there when these factory manifolds were known for leaking on the edge corner? How hard would it have been to put one bolt on the very end? So, saying that, for you guys that have still running these 6-cylinders with a stock intake, which there's nothing wrong with them. I mean, they work pretty good. If you actually are having issues of it leaking out on the end, especially if you're running them hot and stuff like that, you go to put a new gasket on or something like that. If you're up for it, try it. You know, let me know if it even works, because I have never tried it. Take the dowel out of the head, and the one up front. I'm assuming this is gonna be the same thing when I loosen it. I don't see why not. And put your a bolt in that, a header bolt or a small headed bolt in there, because the header bolts on the small block Chevy, so it's the same bolt, same threads. Because I got header bolts from the intake than the homemade one, because I need smaller size headed bolts. You know, you take like a 10 mil, a 3/8, a 7/16 head. Tighten it up, and then I don't know. If you want, leave a comment or something like that if somebody ever tries it, and let me know if it works, because I'm sure curious if it would, because this should fix my little exhaust leaks on the edge, especially the back of this block. So thought I'd just let you know, because I'm not a know-it-all by any means. I think I know a fair bit about especially these old trucks and stuff like that, and I'm pretty much into the Chevys all these years, and I've run quite a few vehicles with these inline 6s, 250s, 292s. I never knew this. So good on me, and maybe this will help somebody out there. So let's get this all cleaned up. We'll get that other one out, and yeah, let's get her all ready. We'll get the head flipped onto the engine. Ew, camera's not focused right. Onto the engine, and then slap that on, put the intake on, bolt on the turbo, spin her up, see if she fires up, and get both carbs working. And then by that time our gasket should be in for the turbo. And I also got ordered, check it out, got some little blow off valve. I'm making up some pipes, and we're gonna plumb all this intercooler, and we're gonna make it whistle, and we're gonna set these carbs up. I'm gonna find out if I can make these carburetors work decent as a blow through. I might have to make some vents, but anyways, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Clean this all up, and we'll bolt it together. We'll get her fired up first, and we'll go from there. So yeah, we'll talk to you shortly. Yeah, the heater's a little noisy here. I'm just going to mention some Teflon tape, thread sealer, or thread lock, thread sealer. I recommend to put this on. Thread sealer, we got that paste. It's pipe thread, eh? Put this on, because what happens, put them in the block here. Most of these holes, as you can see where I even blew a little air out, there's some antifreeze right there. The coolant, most of these bolt holes are in a water jacket. So what happens sometimes, the coolant will wick up the threads, and they'll sit in the block, etch away at the head bolt. More chances of it sneaking past the head gaskets in between here. So say there's a bolt hole right here, and it wicks through all the way into the inside, gets in the cylinder, and then it's not a absolute must. I like to do it. So figured I'd just give you a show on that. Just wrap her up. So, got the head bolts, everything all cleaned up here. Just put these all on. So that'd be. And also too, if somebody doesn't know, always wrap it in the opposite direction that you're turning the bolt. This way, if you go to tighten the bolt up, it tightens up. Now what happens is if you roll it the wrong way, or you do it this way, you roll it this way, that, now you gotta go in this way, you wrap it around like this. What happens is, in the direction the bolt goes to tighten, the threads grab it, you see it trying to roll off, and it's just gonna ball up and it ain't gonna seal. So always wrap away from the direction of the threads. This way it goes, it's on. Backwards would make it unravel. Well, we got the head bolts all torqued down. All the push rods and rockers are all put in. They're preset. Now I'm going to have to turn the motor over cylinder by cylinder and have the exhaust valve and intake valve completely closed, top dead center, and just go down each cylinder and get these all pre-adjusted. Usually once they're snugged up, so there's no rattle in them, we give them about 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn, and that's usually a pretty good preset. So we'll get doing that, yeah, we'll see what's up with that one. And next thing it'll be is put the valve cover on, bolt the intake on, then we can start doing all the plumbing, and then crank her over and see what happens. Be anxious to see if this has fixed my coolant pressure issues and my little bit of white smoke. So yeah, Maz here. Yeah, I gotta run uptown. I gotta go grab some stuff for the shop here, so we're gonna put this stuff on the little street rod and hold for a little bit. When I get back, might continue on it. We'll see how late I get back. But come check this out. I went out to go warm up my truck so I can go uptown. It was you know, not bad out, not terribly cold. It's calm. Let's step outside. I got a full-out snowstorm going on here. There was not a speck of snow on the hood of my truck 2 hours ago. So yeah. So I guess winter is not done yet. My kid will be happy. Get some more sled time. Or mess around with his truck. His 4x4. So I think we're gonna end up. Yeah, the wind there. I think that's it for today, unless I get more time tonight. Wash up my hands. And then run uptown and grab some more stuff. We'll do some errands, get some, see if my parts are in for my truck any chance. And then yeah, we'll continue on this one. It might be, and most likely be, on the next video. I was a little slow getting some vids uploaded last week, so these 2 vids coming up might be a little bit closer together. So yeah, this is Maz, and if you want, subscribe if possible, that would be appreciated. Hit the like button if you're into it or whatever, the bell icon wherever it is on your list, so notification, so they know the next time I upload. And yeah, well, I'm gonna hurry up because my fingers are getting a little cold here. And yeah, this is Maz. So to the next video. Bye.